Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and today we are back with another mukbang. Woo! Okay, I have been on TikTok recently and everybody has been eating Indian food and it made me crave Indian food, and it's so freaking foggy these days in New York City, so we are having some Indian fusion food. This is not going to be authentic, but there's a ton of places in New York that do like Indian style burritos that were so delicious, so I decided to zhuzh it up. We have some butter chicken pasta here, we have lamb samosa, and then some of these are vegetable samosas. We have a mango chutney, we have a bunch of naans, we have corn padu, which I don't think I've ever had these before. Corn padu. We have lamb shish kebab, chicken tikka, and chicken biryani. Oh yeah.
You think you got it right?
I think so. Speaking of food, it is almost the holidays and I am so excited, you have no idea. The holidays are all about food. It's about the holiday jingles that are ringing through your house, and then the lights, the vibes, all the family gatherings. It is even more hectic now that our family has so many children. And so truly, it is going to be the busiest season of my life. And even if you're like, listen, I'm taking it easy, no gatherings, no parties at my place, I'm chilling, right? Here's the thing. There are so many fun things to do during the holiday season other than go grocery shopping, which is why I recommend HelloFresh. I would be running around losing my marbles during the holidays because they make any busy week, they make any busy day so much easier than ever. They've got 35 weekly chef-crafted recipes to choose from. You can customize your protein for each meal, you can swap the sides, you can add protein to veggie dishes. I mean, the options really are endless. So you pick your recipes for the week and HelloFresh will ship them straight to your door with already pre-portioned ingredients. There's a lot of good seasonal recipes on there, like cowboy turkey black bean chili. Been obsessed with chili these days. They've got like a mushroom ravioli with this kale and walnut, like saucy. This week I got the shrimp spaghetti with a kick and it's honestly so good.
It's good, huh?
Yeah. And I also got the mushu pork bowls. My sister loves HelloFresh. You guys know that she has 2 kids and her oldest kid is one of the pickiest eaters that I've ever met in my life. She will grab her whole fist into her mouth and dig out that one ingredient she doesn't like and she'll flick it at your face. What? So HelloFresh does many dishes that are picky eater approved, so it's perfect for families. And the recipe cards are so well done. Each time it's literally never been easier to follow a recipe and get dinner on the table in like 30 minutes or less. And you guys know, I'm a snacker. I don't go like an hour without snacking. And HelloFresh has all the essentials for you to stock up your pantry with everything that you could possibly want. Quick breakfast, charcuterie boards, for date nights, game nights, desserts. I mean, they have it all. It saves you a trip to the store, which by the way, HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout. So I'm just saying, make sure to go to HelloFresh.com and use code BIS70 for 70% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com and use code BIS70 for 70% off plus free shipping. And thank you HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video, and let's get into the food. Are you ready? Actually,
I'm ready.
I'm gonna start with the butter pasta.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've never had butter chicken pasta.
Wow, steamy. What's the vibe? Is it good?
Oh my god, it works. Oh my god, it works. Oh my god. Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's creamy. I don't know if they added like more, because I know it's made with like cream and butter, but it's so creamy.
Good. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Like normally with traditional pastas, I get a little of that lukia feeling, which is kind of so creamy and so cheesy that you start feeling a little bit like upset stomach or nauseous. I'm not getting that with this. Wow.
Wow. So these are all the same or different?
Some are lamb, some are vegetable.
What's
Which one
this?
is that?
Is that veggie?
I think that's the lamb.
Lamb?
If I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
It's
the lamb? How is it though?
It's good.
Mango chutney. I love the mint and cilantro chutney. I don't know if I've...
Wow.
Wow.
How do I eat this?
Dip the samosa. Okay, let's try this biryani. I think this is the first time that I didn't get the lamb biryani and I got the chicken biryani, but fine. Okay, okay. Oh.
Wow.
So good.
Wow, wow, wow.
So good. Okay, lamb shish kebab. We're talking about creepy stories today because I read these stories on Reddit and I can't stop thinking about it because How do you know that this isn't happening to you? And those types of stories freak me out the most.
Well, this corn thing is good.
It's good?
It's like bouncy. What the heck?
Okay, I'm so
Different, very different from what I expected.
It's so good. My goodness.
So good. Wow. Incredible.
Oh, let me try the corn thing. I'm gonna dip it into the mint chutney because it came with it. Wow.
It's weird, right? Like, it's bouncy. What the heck?
Wow. That's fantastic. The lamb shish kebab is so good too. Oh my god. Illegal. It has no business being this good.
Wow.
Okay. Let me get into the story because it's insane. Imagine if someone is living your life. Have you ever thought about that?
What do you mean?
Someone living my dream life?
No, someone just straight up lives your life, takes your life over. How do you know that you're not the only one living your life? Maybe someone out there, when you are home, they're out there parading as you, pretending to be you, running into people as you. And then the minute that you leave the house, they come into the house pretending to be you.
True story or?
Well, it's on No Sleep.
So it's definitely true.
Definitely true. And it's titled, I Think Someone Is Living My Life by Gina SFFS. Now, I think she also has a TikTok by that same username. But listen, it is one of those stories where I'm like, holy f***, I hope this gets turned into a movie or a show. I hope this person starts writing books because I would be freaking hooked. And it's one of those stories that I just can't stop thinking about. So this was posted onto No Sleep, a subreddit. Let's talk about 32-year-old Kat. I'm naming her Kat. She sounds like a cat in my head. And Kat said, I don't know where else I can try to explain this, but I feel like I'm going crazy. Or maybe I'm losing my mind or my memory because there's no other explanation for what's going on. So to give you some context, Kat said she's had multiple instances where people have told her that they've talked to her, which she can't remember ever talking to them. And no, dementia does not run in her family. She does not have Alzheimer's. So this is just really strange. At first, her husband accused, well, not accused, but her husband thought that she was forgetting all these little things. You know, maybe she's so busy, they've got a 5-year-old kid, that all of these non-important conversations are slipping out of her mind. The Kat is like, straight up, I don't remember some of these conversations. I don't even remember the whole conversation. It's not like I forgot one detail in the conversation. I don't remember seeing this person ever. I just don't get it. So to give you an example, Kat and her husband show up at like a monthly neighborhood get-together where all the adults come, and maybe they do like a poker night, maybe they get drunk, maybe they do like a barbecue, and everyone is responsible for bringing something, and it's prearranged, right? So nobody brings the same thing. So Kat was supposed to bring sodas. Her husband is like, Kat, did you bring the sodas? And she's like, yeah, I brought the sodas. They show up at the party, you know, packs of sodas in hand, and everyone kept kind of glancing around and like, oh, is that all you brought? It was weird. So they're looking at her and they're like, what about the napkins and the cups? What cups? What napkins? We ran into each other at the grocery store the other day, and I asked if you wouldn't mind bringing a few more things, and you agreed to bring the napkins and the cups. Kat honestly did not remember that conversation at all. So the couple just awkwardly apologized, and they went home thinking, okay, wow, like we need to slow down on life. We're getting so busy that we're forgetting whole ass interactions and whole ass commitments. But neither of the couple blamed Kat because, you know, people forget things all the time. They've got a 5-year-old. They've got bigger things to worry about than, you know, some napkins and some cups.
Didn't you say like you talked about someone's like keep forgetting things at home? You check
Oh, the Post-its.
Yeah, but no. You're saying like the first thing you do is you check your what is
carbon
that?
monoxide monitor. Yes.
Yeah, because if you're poisoned, you lose memories.
Yes,
right?
and so they were leaving Post-its all around, and they didn't even remember writing the Post-it, so it felt like, oh my god, someone's stalking them, someone's watching them. It's like the creepiest thing ever. Turns out they were being poisoned slowly by carbon monoxide, and their carbon monoxide detector was not going off. Which, side note, why do I have such a paranoia about carbon monoxide and gas leaks? Like, I will go out and buy carbon monoxide detectors, even though we already have them installed in the house and we've already verified that they're in working condition. I will buy additional ones because I'm like, I need a third opinion. I need a third opinion.
Why do I keep forgetting things?
Humans are so fragile when you think about it. A little bit of toxins in the air and boom, you're stalking yourself. That's crazy.
You're stalking yourself?
He thought he was being stalked because he was leaving Post-its.
Oh, I'm obsessed with these.
Really?
Obsessed.
These are the first ones where, like, it's so crispy on the outside and the inside is so moist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they do it so well. No big deal. It's fine. They're just gonna deal with it. And then it happened again. But this time it was weird. It was a lot more personal than, hey, I ran into you in town and you forgot the conversation that we had. This one was really weird. So Kat works at a middle school in town. It's like the only middle school actually. And one day, one of the kids was hippity-skippity into the class. And she's like, oh, you're in a good mood, Kevin. And Kevin's all like, well, when are the pizzas coming? When are the pizzas here? She's like, that's strange. Why the hell would there be pizzas? This is fourth period. Lunch isn't until sixth period.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, well, lunch isn't until sixth period, Kevin. I don't know. And the kid looked at her funny and sat down. So she's like, okay, that kid just ignored me, but I'm sure it's fine. She thought nothing of it. But as she kept teaching the class, everyone seemed on edge, constantly checking the door. And she asked them, hey guys, what's wrong? And all these middle schoolers are like, well, we're looking for the pizzas. When are the pizzas getting here? She's like, what pizzas are you talking about? One of the students said, well, you promised on Monday that if we all turned in our notebooks by Friday, you would give us a pizza party. And we did. We all turned in our notebooks by Friday. Okay, so this is the part where it gets so creepy and Kat felt so out of body. She had missed fourth and fifth period on Monday. She was at school, but before fourth period, she was in the teacher's room and she had spilled hot coffee all over herself. And the principal told her to rush home, get changed, make it back, and they would take over her classes while she was gone. So there was no way that she even told her fourth period class that she was going to give them a pizza party because she wasn't even in school campus on Monday because of the steaming cup of hot coffee. So she's looking at the kids like, oh, well, maybe the substitute teacher promised you guys, but I didn't hear about it. This is the first time I'm hearing about a pizza party. And the kids went from looking anxious and confused to upset, and they're glancing around at each other like, no, you straight up told us that we were getting a pizza party. So she's like, okay, well, I'm sorry, like, maybe we'll do it another day. It wasn't a sub, it wasn't anybody else. They claimed it was Kat who told them. And all the students said it. It didn't feel like a prank. It didn't seem like the students would try to pull one over on her. So if it was just once or twice, I think it would have been fine. But Kat said more and more situations like this kept happening. And they actually started getting weirder and more dangerous. It happened in situations where it just didn't make sense. One time, Kat heard her husband grumbling and moaning about how cold his shower was. So Kat innocently asked him, why are you showering in cold water? Are you doing some sort of like endorphin Andrew Huberman challenge? But he looked annoyed that she would even ask. And he snapped at her and he was like, oh, like it was a choice? You spent like an hour in the shower and you didn't even pull your hair from the drain.
Okay. That's crazy.
She's like, what? What are you talking about? I haven't even showered today. Kat had been planning on showering in the morning, so she was confused. I mean, she's not losing her mind to the point. She would know if she showered. Like, you know when you shower. Even if you lost memory of the last 2 hours,
no.
If you had showered, you feel different, right? You're wearing different clothes. You can check
stinky.
Yeah, after the shower. So she's like, I didn't shower. Well, the hair in the drain was yours, and I heard the water running for an hour when I passed by the bathroom. And I know it wasn't our kid, Charlie, because Charlie's 5 years old, by the way. So there's no way that it would have been Charlie. And she's like, yeah, there's no way because I was downstairs with Charlie the whole afternoon. What are you talking about? And Kat's husband just kind of shook his wet hair at her and then walked away. It didn't seem like he wanted to talk about it anymore. He seemed over it in hindsight. So the whole thing should have just been a giant red flag to the both of them because who the hell is mysteriously using up their water bill? Not in this economy. You better conserve that water. Is someone secretly living in their attic, like squatting, living in their walls? There's always these, viable conversation points that they skip that day. But it just gets worse. Another time, Kat woke up Saturday morning, went to the kitchen to make her morning coffee. There was already a fresh pot. Her husband doesn't drink coffee and their 5-year-old sure as hell didn't make it. So clearly, maybe Kat made it the night before and then forgot about it. So it's like leftover coffee. So she went to grab it to pour it out and then make a new cup, but when she touched the pot, it was hot. So she froze and she felt concerned because, again, any red alarms, like any red flag alarms that were going off, she tried to suppress it. She's thinking, oh my god, maybe I went into like autopilot mode this morning and I made the coffee and anyway, I'm so hungry, I need to make my breakfast. Now, her breakfast is very specific. She gets a few pieces of toast and then she gets a smear of peanut butter, strawberry jam, and Nutella on the side of her plate and she dips the toast into the corresponding dips, right? Mm-hmm. It's not practical, but that's how she makes her toast. So she grabs her toast, her coffee, goes upstairs to watch the news in bed because her husband was still sleeping. And when she gets up there, she freezes. Can you guess why?
She sees herself laying in the bed.
Oh my god, no, that would be so freaky. Can you imagine? What would you do in that situation?
Someone's using the bathroom.
There's a half-eaten plate of toast on the nightstand. It's not from the day before, it's today.
See, that doesn't make sense then, you know? Now it made it seem like there's some... Like, it sounds like she's losing it.
Is she losing it?
Because how is someone going to live in the house doing all these things without getting caught?
Right.
Non-stop.
Exactly. I guess we'll find out. So I just realized that the mic was not connected. I cried for like 10 minutes and now we're back. Does the audio sound better? Okay, so anyway, instantly Kat felt sick. She didn't feel like throwing up her toast because, like I said, she didn't have any toast yet. That was the problem, wasn't it? She was terrified. Like, she knew her husband didn't make it. He didn't make the coffee either. He was dead asleep right there on the bed. So she doesn't know what to do. She just knows that someone is in the house eating their food, but the even scarier alternative was that she was officially losing her mind. Either somebody's in the house or she's losing her marbles. So almost instantly, Kat becomes obsessed with wanting to write down everything that she did every single day. She just felt like she was losing her memory, and this is her way of gaining that power back. Every conversation she had, she wrote it down.
Just to verify, this is not the carbon monoxide story.
Okay. This guy's obsessed with the carbon monoxide story.
No, I'm just saying.
This guy wants it to be carbon monoxide. Are you carbon monoxide poisoning me? Is that why I forgot to hook up my fucking mic? She feels like she's losing her mind. Like it's slipping away from her, and it's terrifying. She logged every activity that she did. She logged every conversation that she had with people. She kept track of everything that was going on. And aside from a few people in her life claiming to have these conversations with her that she clearly doesn't remember, the daily log actually helped with this mysterious problem. There was no more half-eaten toast. There were no more, coffee that was made when she'd had no recollection of it. That is, until 2 weeks ago. It started up again. Kat was lounging on the couch watching TV when her husband comes home from work, and he walks in, takes his jacket off, and he's like, "Oh, you guys are back already?"
You guys?
Back from what? She hadn't left since she got home. In fact, she was pretty busy and had just sat down to watch TV. She fed Charlie, their 5-year-old kid. She played with him a bit before he fell asleep, and then she left him in his room, went to go use the restroom, and just now had gotten a breather and was on the couch watching TV. Back from what? The park. You told me last night that you were taking Charlie to the park today. Oh my god. I've been doing so well. I guess it slipped my memory. I guess I must have mentioned it and then I forgot to take him to the park today. I was so busy. But he's sleeping now. Oh, okay. So her husband goes to say goodnight to Charlie, but quickly comes back to the living room and he's like, where is he sleeping? In his room. He's not in his room. Charlie's not in his room. Kat's blood runs cold. She had never heard her son get up. The son's room is on the second floor. She's downstairs in the living room. But she knew for a damn fact that she put him to sleep in there less than an hour ago. So the two parents, they go into panic mode. They're screaming his name, turning over every piece of furniture in the entire house. They turned the entire thing upside down, and they could not find Charlie anywhere. Kat actually started bawling her eyes out while looking for him. This was the first time a situation like this had happened, and they would never lose their son or create a situation where he could get lost. So Kat's husband offered a suggestion. Well, maybe he went to the park without you. If you promised to take him to the park last night and then you forgot, maybe he was upset and walked by himself. I mean, it kind of made sense. Okay, so the park is like a 10-minute walk. Charlie had been there like countless times, so maybe it wasn't impossible for him to think, hey, you know what? I know where the park is. I'll just walk there myself. So the two parents, they sprint all the way to the park while screaming this kid's name. And when they get there, Kat starts crying harder because she makes eye contact with Charlie.
Huh?
And he's waiting to go down the slide. And Kat's husband runs up to him, like does a little check around, grabs him by the shoulders, is like looking him up and down. Are you hurt? And he looks so confused. And the dad looks so relieved. But Charlie was calm. I didn't come to the park alone. Mommy brought me. And he smiled. Kat was like, what? No, baby, I didn't bring you. I put you down for a nap. You came by yourself. No, Mommy, I was gonna go to sleep, but then you came back from going to pee and we walked to the park. Charlie was looking at his own mother like she's losing her mind. How do you not remember this? It's almost as if this 5-year-old was telling her that the sky was blue and she was losing her brains. Kat's neighbor had overheard the conversation and stood up for Charlie. No, I saw you guys walking over and I decided to bring my kids since it was such a nice day out and we were both chatting on the bench a while ago. Kat, I was sitting on that bench with you like 5 minutes ago talking about the kids and daycare, and you don't remember any of that? And Kat is like, what? So her mind is racing. I mean, she hasn't been to the park all day, and yet her own son, who she trusted, okay? She's not one of those parents that are like, kids lie about everything. They've got a wild imagination. She was not one of those people. She believed him, and this kid is claiming that they walked over together. I mean, this was the first time that the brief thought that somebody was living her life, or at least it felt like it, crossed Kate's mind. But if that were true, that meant that someone was pretending to be her. Someone wasn't just
And
looking
living
like
in her house, which
right?
doesn't make sense.
It wasn't that someone just looked like her. You know, someone wasn't just a doppelganger. Someone was pretending to be her. Like, imagine someone comes up to you at the grocery store and they're saying, oh, hey, Kat. You'd be like, oh, sorry, like you have the wrong person. I'm not Kat. So she either has a doppelganger who wants her life or she's losing her mind. I mean, I think both options are not so great here. So when they get home, the shock of the situation wore off, and Kat talked to her husband about all of her thoughts of, you know, I think it's weird. There's no history of dementia in my family. I think that this is the only way that makes sense. And I don't even know if he knew what to think about it. He quietly mentioned in a tiny little voice that some of his coworkers had seen Kat at a bar close to his workplace. He said that they claimed to see Kat drinking and having a good time, and too good of a time, honestly, for a married woman, but they claimed that she was flirting with a lot of people there. And he reassured her that he didn't believe any of it. He was certain that his coworkers must have thought that someone looked like Kat, and they assumed it was Kat, but he knew it wasn't her. That's why he didn't even bring it up, because Kat had been sober for 9 years now. So if she was drinking again and flirting with people at a bar, like it was going to be impossible for her to hide that from the family. Kat burst into tears because, again, none of this is normal. Something is very wrong. It's not like someone was just seeing someone that looked similar to her. Some people had whole-on conversations with this person. So Kat cried in her husband's arms all night long, and he tried to comfort her, but the next morning, he sprung into action. He installed cameras all around the house, in and out of the house. And of course, the minute that he installed those cameras, Kat was freaking obsessed. She would watch the live feed nonstop all day, every day. Especially when he first installed the cameras, she called off work for 4 days straight so that she could stay at home just staring at the grainy footage because she didn't want to miss anything. She was just hoping to catch a glimpse of another person, an explanation or something. But after the 4th day, she decided, yeah, hey, nothing. Like, it's time to go back to work before I get fired. She gets dressed, goes to work, and comes back around 6:40 p.m. Which is honestly pretty late for a middle school teacher. Actually, no, it's not. I heard middle school teachers, sometimes they stay till like 9 p.m. Yeah.
Why?
Because they have so much, like, after paperwork, grading, admin stuff. But, you know, she usually gets home around 4, and she did miss 4 days of paperwork, so she had a lot to catch up on. So when she gets home, she sees Charlie on the living room floor, eyes glued to the TV. Hey, kiddo, where's your dad? Upstairs. Strange. Okay, I mean, Charlie is 5, so they can leave him alone for a bit, but they both try not to leave him too alone, right? He could get himself into trouble, you know? So she opens the door to the room, and there her husband is on the bed, eyes closed, butt naked, smiling. And Kat quickly closes the door, walks up to him like, what's up with the birthday suit? Why are you naked? And he opens his eyes, and he's smiling. Don't be coy, Kat. Why are you all dressed? Are you going somewhere? She's like, what are you talking about? I just got home. I didn't get dressed. And he bolted up. His eyes are flickering from Kat to the bathroom door to Kat back to the bathroom door. And he's like, no, you've been home since 4. Kat said she felt this pit in her stomach and it was just growing and growing and growing, and she shook her head no, but her breathing's starting to get fast. There's tears welling up in her eyes. She watches as her husband's face was just drained pale. Kat's husband tried to put 2 and 2 together, and he's like, no, Kat, I got home, you were already home, and you put Charlie to watch some TV, and we started fooling around, and you were saying about how sorry you were that you were getting paranoid recently, and you just wanted to reconnect. And it almost sounded like her husband was begging her to be like, oh yeah, it's a prank, just kidding. But Kat couldn't because it wasn't her. So they both slowly look at the bathroom door. She was in there, they knew it. They just had this tightness in their chest. How long ago did she go in there? 15 minutes? Her husband got up and got the bat out from underneath their bed, and slowly they started inching towards the door.
Okay, so here's the question. How does the husband know the one in the bathroom is the wrong person?
Right.
What if this one that walked in is the wrong wife?
Right.
How do you prove that? Remember, like we say, like
Yes.
if there's another me
You.
or another you, how do you know which one's real? Can you name something that only the real one knows?
Yes.
Which one? We talked about this too.
Oh,
I told you.
oh, did you give me like a code word?
No!
I forgot the code word.
No! I told you about a feature.
On you?
On me.
Oh no.
You don't remember?
Am I the clone?
No, nothing? It's in my mouth.
One tooth is longer than the other.
No, not that.
Oh, what'd that tongue do? I have to test it out. I gotta be like, okay, exam number 1.
Honey,
Yeah,
you don't know?
you have ridges on the side of your cheeks. You have.
I'm disappointed.
Wait, what is it?
I'm disappointed.
No.
Tell
Okay,
who's
what's
who.
mine? What's mine?
You got a heart-shaped birthmark on your butt.
I thought you were gonna say you have a heart-shaped booty. You got a heart-shaped waistline. So anyway, the husband is breathing heavy and he swings open the bathroom door, and out of anticipation, Kat screams. She didn't even say anything. That's me, okay? She screams.
Which one?
The one next to the husband.
Oh, okay.
It's empty on the inside. But it was definitely used. There was water on the counter as if someone had been washing their face. Like, not just their hands, but water was splattered onto the sink, splattered onto the mirror. The lid to her lotion bottle was open, and they felt this breeze. They whipped their heads to the window in the corner, and it was open. Just enough for someone to literally squeeze themselves out of there. Kat's husband went to close it, but it was loose. The paneling of the window and the lock, it was loose. So whoever she was, it seemed like she was in a rush to get out of there. Kat's husband felt so violated, he burst into tears again, and they checked the cameras that night when Charlie fell asleep in their room. Neither of them wanted Charlie alone, obviously. And they turned on the footage. It was horrible. Kat saw herself coming through the front door. Only it wasn't herself, obviously, and when she saw the imposter, or whoever it was, touching Charlie, she had to clasp her hand over her mouth to keep herself from screaming. She held him in the living room like a mother would hold their child, like how Kat holds Charlie. Even her mannerisms, the way she walked, I mean, Kat was looking for anything that would differentiate the two of them to kind of, show her husband and everybody else, like, no, this is not me, because look, this person walks like this. Like, clearly you can tell that's not me, but there was absolutely nothing. The couple forwarded through the footage of her in bed with her husband, and her husband said something alarming. Not alarming because he's alarming, but it was just terrifying. He said, "She was just like you, Kat. I couldn't tell a difference." Now, there was no camera in the bathroom, so that's all they could see. So she's comforting him and her son, and all she can think about is whoever this is must have been watching me for a really long time to mimic me to a T. So it's been about a week since Kat and her husband saw that footage. Kat hasn't left the house since. Her husband has been going to work every day, but he says he's terrified. He feels unsafe. He keeps looking over his shoulder to see if somebody's following him, chasing him. They tried filing a police report, but the police said there's no evidence of a crime, and that looks exactly like you, and someone slept with your husband, but they look exactly like, lady, we've got real crime to solve. So Kat was typing this downstairs in the living room, and she felt like she couldn't go back to work for a while. She was terrified. The woman was going to do something, because the woman must know that Kat knows her game now. That Kat knows that there is somebody else, and she's not losing her mind. Anyway, while typing this downstairs, Charlie ran down the stairs with a big smile on his face, and he threw himself in Kat's lap. And then he froze. And he looked up at her and said, "Wait, how did you beat me?"
A ghost story here, huh?
"What do you mean, how did I beat you, Charlie?" "We were playing upstairs and you told me to grab a juice, but how did you beat me?" "Down here." Kat froze. She felt the vomit rise up in her throat, and she felt her head spin, and she realized she was shaking, but she tried to be strong for Charlie. She said, "Charlie, come here. You sit with Mommy." And with Charlie in her lap, she finished typing up this post, because her keys, her phone, everything was upstairs, so all she could do was beg for help on here with her computer. She didn't know what to do, and she could hear her calling for Charlie now. "Charlie, come upstairs and play. We're not done playing."
What?
Kat said she was shaking. She sounds just like her, and she can hear the footsteps in her house. And she ended the post with, "Please fucking help us."
What?
And that is it.
What?
Yeah. I know.
Come on.
I know.
You can't do that.
I know. I needed a more satisfying ending. But it is interesting to think about because I think the way that No Sleep works, it was so well executed because Kat responded to a bunch of comments. She didn't really reveal anything different, but she just kept telling everyone, "It's okay, Charlie and I are safe now." And it was very, it was very much given the clone is alive vibe. Yeah.
So you're telling me there's a clone?
Yeah. Okay, so think about it. Let's say parallel universes exist. And you get stuck in a different parallel universe where there's already a you. I feel like there's movies on this, right? And you have to steal that person's life.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe this is like that situation. Do you think what's more terrifying? When they pretend to be you or when they pretend to be somebody else? Okay, think about it this way. So when you're being impersonated, it's creepy. That's the story that we just talked about. But imagine that somebody in your life feels a little bit different and you can't quite put your finger on it. Like, let's say someone is impersonating to be your therapist. There's a No Sleep story on it. You want to hear? Okay, so this was posted by Mrs. Black. She also has a TikTok account called, I'm going to put it right here. She's a writer and therapist, so I was like, okay, this is going to be really good. I believe that she's writing a movie script on this right now, and I swear to God, I'm so freaking excited. So let's get into it. It reminds me of a book, Anonymous Girl. We did a BAM on it, where the therapist wasn't being impersonated by somebody else, but the therapist was just not who she said she was. Do you remember this? The therapist was married, and her life seemed so absolutely perfect. She was always put together. She looked like the best professional in the world. And then the patient was this girl who was having an affair with a married man. Turned out the married man was the therapist's husband, and the therapist knew. And it was like this whole cat and mouse game. And it was so good. Okay, well, I'm gonna link that below. But anyway, it reminds me of that, but like it's very different. So anyway, the story starts when Stella is 9 years old. Stella was 9 when her mom sat her down with the whole family and told her, "I'm gonna leave you guys. I'm done. My therapist told me that she just gave me this advice." Okay, what advice? Dr. Kathleen Porter told me that I can't be a good mom or wife unless I learn to put myself first. And I think it's time for me to pursue my own dreams and discover who I really am so that maybe later I can be a good mom. That was a fancy roundabout way of her mom saying, "I'm leaving you all so that I can do whatever the fuck I want." So Stella's mom leaves, just abandons the whole family. And dad was struggling. Dad doesn't know how to be a single dad. The kids, they're all messed up in the head. They're traumatized. They had to get Stella a child psychologist to help with that grief and the trauma of this abandonment that she felt. And the therapist was nice. She had this ballerina bun, and she let Stella draw pictures, which was fun, and she always sat Stella down and would bring in her dad and talk about what every picture meant, Oh, Mr. So-and-so, the dark sky means that Stella's depressed. The one-window house means that Stella feels very trapped, It felt like literature class again, with the over-symbolization of every little detail that we cannot escape. Anyway, Stella only saw her mom twice after she left the family. Once when Stella was in college, her mom reached out to her and was like, "Hey, I'm going to be passing through town. Maybe you want to grab lunch or something." So they met up at the local diner, and for the next hour, all the mom did was talk about herself. It was not the reunion of Stella's dreams. Her mom did not ask her one goddamn question about, like, how are you? How are things for you? Were you okay after I completely abandoned you when you needed a mother most? None of those. The other time was when Stella graduated college and decided to visit her mom. Honestly, Stella was going with ulterior motives. She wanted an apology. Stella had jumped from therapist to therapist to therapist, and she felt like the only way to get closure in all of this was for her mom to just fucking apologize so that they can both get closure, so that they can both freaking move on and rebuild their lives. It was kind of dumb. Her current therapist said, "You should not do that. You can't go to the hardware store looking for milk. You need to learn to get closure without your mom involved. That's the only way." But Stella was like, "Yeah, fuck you. That's what all the therapists are saying. But obviously, clearly, I'm not okay. Like, I'm struggling." So she went to her mom's place looking for an apology. But instead of apologizing, her mom did the exact opposite. Her mom said, "I saved myself. And I'm forever grateful for Dr. Porter for giving me that advice." So, because her mom's therapist told her, "You need to live your life." So isn't that just fucking fantastic. She didn't apologize. So Stella decides to go after the second hated woman in her life, which is Dr. freaking Porter. Did this stupid therapist even know how much pain she caused? Not just Stella, but their whole freaking family? Like, what kind of therapist says that? Abandon your children, it'll turn out great for everyone? What horrible advice is that? She probably hurt so many other families with that stupid advice that she's dishing out. So Stella Googled her. I want you to look at that. She was still a practicing psychologist, probably ruining more families' lives. She never married, nor did she have children. Stella's like FBI stalking her at this point. That's what Stella gathered. Which makes sense because this is going around telling everyone, hey, lose every maternal bone in your body and abandon your kids. She's forcing her own lifestyle onto her patients, her childless lifestyle. But there's victims to this. So Stella made an appointment with Dr. Porter, and now it was perfect because Stella's mom had never taken their dad's last name. So with this appointment, Dr. Porter would have no idea that Stella was the daughter of one of her former patients. So their first session comes along, and Stella talked about, my mom abandoned me when I was young. Some depraved psychologist who needs to lose her license told her that she needed to put herself first, and she abandoned my whole family, and it ruined my life. It ruined my brother's life, my sister's life, and my dad's life. So many victims to all of this, really, just because what? She wanted to go out and explore life. And as Stella spoke, with genuine emotion, with tears streaming down her face, she would glance over at her therapist, only to see Dr. Porter's face was expressionless.
What? Does she know?
It seems like it. Unmoved, like her stiff black hair. She was like a complete sociopath, Stella said. At one point, she leaned over her side table to grab a glass of water, and when she was picking up the shirt, it revealed a tattoo on her wrist. And it said, "You are enough." Okay, so Stella went to a few more sessions and ranted every time about the horrible psychologist that unknowingly or purposely ruined their entire family, and Stella said that she was just waiting for something or anything to show that Dr. Porter knew that she had forked up. Some response, some remorse, or even a revelation that oh my god, wait a minute. I had told some patients and oh my god, did I ruin their kids' lives? Nothing. Literally nothing. So Stella decided enough f***ing around. She was gonna just straight up confront her therapist. She booked another appointment, and it was time to get that long-awaited closure, that long-awaited apology from at least one of the two women that she shattered her entire childhood. So when Stella rushed her next session, she saw Dr. Porter hugging the previous patient goodbye. Which is odd because everything that you've just heard about Dr. Porter, it doesn't sound like she's a very loving psychiatrist, right? It's also odd because there's a list of boundaries set by Dr. Porter, and hugging is a strict no-hugging policy. But there she is, cuddling up in the arms of an older lady. The lady told Dr. Porter, "Thank you. Before this, you seemed so cold and distant, but something changed today. I feel like you were really there for me." And left. Stella crinkled her brows. It was odd. But she sat down in the office, and this time she noticed the lighting was a bit darker than usual. She waited for Dr. Porter to sit. Now, Stella's not an old lady. She had 20/20 vision, and she was good at picking up details, and she looked at Dr. Porter from across the room, and even in the dark, something was different about her today. She looked maybe a little bit younger. Her skin looked more taut, full of collagen. Maybe she had a chemical peel. But it just wasn't that. Like, something felt off. Even when Dr. Porter spoke, her tone sounded a bit lower. She seemed like a completely different person, honestly. Her voice was compassionate and kind, and she agreed with Stella that no therapist should have ever told a patient what to do, let alone direct them to abandon their family. Dr. Porter talked about how awful it must have been for Stella. Stella was about to shout, "Yeah, and it's all because of you, bitch," but she kept her cool because, not because she's not one to cause a scene, but because she wasn't even sure that this was Dr. Porter in front of her. She looked slightly different, and she acted entirely different from the Dr. Porter that she had met with, for the past 5 sessions. So at the end, Dr. Porter leaned in to hug Stella, and when she reached over, her shirt lit up a little, and the tattoo was gone. That's when Stella knew that whoever this was an imposter and was not Dr. Porter. There's no way to have a tattoo completely removed in a week and have no scarring, and even though this woman looked exactly like Dr. Porter, it wasn't Dr. Porter. There were small differences. Stella ran home and started Googling. 'Twas her favorite pastime to Google shit. Her best guess right now was that Dr. Porter had a twin, and maybe she was filling in for Dr. Porter for whatever reason. Maybe they only work 20 hours a week each. I don't know, okay? Maybe she had a secret identical child because she looked a little bit younger, but it just didn't make sense. Did somebody get surgery to impersonate her? Even if you were a lookalike sister or a lookalike daughter, why would you impersonate her? It was weird. Who the hell was Dr. Porter 2.0? And where the hell was the real Dr. Porter? So later that night, Stella went back to the Dr. Porter's office and managed to steal a set of keys from the cleaning crew. She let herself in, and she started going through the files of the drawers of the desk. She found black hair dye inside, which isn't evidence per se, but you can't take it to the police and be like, look what I found, it's hair dye, so she's obviously an imposter. But it's something to confirm to herself that this is not the right Dr. Porter. So she keeps looking, and she wanted definitive proof to take to the police. And she found these flashcards. They were like studying patients, almost as if she never knew these patients and she needed to quickly run through the flashcards before they came in. Stella Theo, adjustment disorder, stalking history, high functioning. Whoever the imposter was keeping note cards for even Stella. But why? And obviously, stalking issue, I mean, that was another reason that Stella couldn't go to the police. It wasn't a big deal, but Stella's ex-boyfriend had broken up with her and she wanted some of her stuff back. He reported her for stalking and she almost got admitted involuntarily to a psychiatric unit because of it. If Stella went to the police, they would just assume that she's stalking her therapist now, which is a big no-no, right? And Dr. Porter didn't have family, so it's not like anyone close to her is going to miss her or notice that she's different. She wasn't her normal self. So Stella waited for her next appointment with Dr. Porter, and she was ready to confront her. So she sits down at her next appointment, and she says, I thought it was a bit strange, that you hugged me at the end of our last session. And I saw that you hugged the other patients, too, when they left. And it's just that you were just so adamant about that no hugging rule, and suddenly you're hugging all of us. Stella was making it clear that she was suspecting Dr. Porter of being, different. But the imposter didn't flinch. She just said, oh, I am trying a new therapeutic approach to better align myself with my patients. But if you'll excuse me, I'm going to have to use the restroom very quickly. She got up to use the restroom, and Stella, being the little stalker girl that she is, jumped up from her seat and started digging around the imposter's suitcase. And at the bottom, she found a small before and after Polaroid, a picture of the woman who looked a lot like Dr. Porter, along with a picture of someone who looked exactly like Dr. Porter. So one is a Polaroid of the clone and one is the Polaroid of not the clone, the OG. But it's not a clone situation, by the way. So Stella stuffed both the Polaroids in her pocket because she's thinking, okay, maybe this is evidence that the police needs. But the minute that she stuffs it in her pocket, the door opens and she's standing next to the therapist's desk, which is on the other side of the room from where the patient sits. So thinking fast, she drops down to all floors, pretending to look for something on the ground. Oh, sorry, I think I dropped my earring back somewhere. Dr. Porter drops down to help her, but after a moment she stares at Stella. Your earring backings are still on. Well, I felt like it dropped. Dr. Porter got up.
How did the earring backing drop from one side of the room to the other?
The other side, yeah. Got up, grabbed the sharp letter opener on her desk. It looked better suited to kill a small animal than opening up a gas spill, but Dr. Porter maintained eye contact and picked up a letter from the desk and sliced it open like melted butter. She smiled at Stella. And Stella was so nervous she booked it out of there. She didn't even say bye. She didn't even give an excuse of why she was ending her therapy session early, so clearly she's not coming back. Stella knew if she called the police, they would most likely put her on a psychiatric hold. So instead, she bought a burner phone and called the police anonymously, and they straight up told her, the Polaroids that you found and stole aren't evidence of a crime, unless maybe it's evidence that you trespassed into your therapist's office. So you are the only criminal that we might have evidence against if you turn these Polaroids in. So she hung up. Of course the police were going to treat her like that, and of course they were going to treat her like she's losing her marbles, but she wasn't. She knew that this was an imposter. Even the way that Dr. Porter 2.0 was smiling at her while holding that letter opener, it was freaking terrifying. It would only be a matter of time before she noticed that the Polaroids were missing, and who would she suspect? And what the hell did she do with the real Dr. Porter? Stella tried to calm herself down and remind herself that Dr. Porter 2.0 never actually saw her going through the briefcase and probably wouldn't even look for the Polaroids for a long time. But she still had a hard time falling asleep that night. She turned on one of those meditation apps and tried to fall asleep, and around 2:13 a.m., ding, a text message on her phone. It was a text message from an unknown number, and it just had a few chilling words. You're a thief. Stella was full on freaking out, hyperventilating in bed. I mean, might have been a good time to call a therapist on call, but her therapist was probably the one that fucking sent it. So Stella confirmed in her mind that Dr. Porter 2.0 knew that she wasn't the real one and that she was probably thinking of all the ways that she could kill Stella with that fucking letter opener. So the next day, Stella made sure to time everything. Even on her way to work, she waited till her neighbor left his apartment unit so that they could take the elevator together. She rushed into her car and headed into LA bumper-to-bumper traffic, but once in the car, she was stopped at a red light and glanced to her left. And there, smiling at her, with all her shiny little teeth, was Dr. Porter 2.0. Stella quickly locked the doors and focused on making it to work, but she was terrified. When she got to work, the hours were so slow. When she got home, well, she locked the door, put a chair under the doorknob to feel extra safe. She didn't even have food, but she couldn't risk going to the market. I mean, just imagine if she ran into Dr. Porter in the produce aisle, or God forbid, the aisle where they sell knives. So Stella ordered Mexican food on DoorDash and waited, and when she saw the alert that it had been delivered, she went to the lobby to grab it, but instead of her food, she saw Dr. Porter 2.0 staring at her into the lobby from the glass entryway. Stella ran all the way back to her unit, locked herself inside, and decided, okay, fine, you want to play it that way? I'm never fucking leaving my apartment. If I don't leave my apartment building, or my apartment, then there's no way that Dr. Porter 2.0 can get to her, which meant that if she tried, Stella would now have a reason to call the police for trespassing. So now she's got some free time, since she was just hiding in her apartment. And she went on Instagram looking for Dr. Porter, but instead that she noticed that her account had a new story, but she hadn't posted a story in the past 24 hours.
Oh my god. Is this where it merged to the first story?
Is she losing her mind? It's an imposter. So she clicks it open, and it was the word thief, just written in bold red letters on a black background. Did someone hack into her account? She deleted it. A week passed, and Stella didn't leave her own apartment. She called in sick for work, only ordered in food, asked her neighbors to grab it from downstairs. She lied and said that she hurt her leg. Dr. Porter made no additional contact.
She hurt her leg?
Yeah, she was like, my leg is broken. And the neighbors are like, okay, I'll go grab it.
Okay.
Hey, if your neighbor's leg was broken, would you go grab it for them?
I guess. No?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It was just your, I guess, for me. And then, okay, what if they said my leg is broken? Why am I asking you this? And then you go get their stuff, and they run to the door, and they're like, thank you. And then the next day, they're like, my leg is broken. Would you go get it?
I'll tell them my leg's broken too.
So after a full week of this, Stella was desperate for something sweet to eat. She found an old stale lemon head, and she tried to bite into it. You know those hard lemon candies? And it cracked her teeth. So she's like, fuck, the next morning I know I need to go to a dentist because I'm in so much freaking pain. Rushes to the dentist office. She's thinking she's going to see Dr. Porter 2.0 in the road. Thank God she doesn't. But as she's laying there, getting ready to get numbed up, a woman walks in with like a dental mask, and she's about to inject her with the shot, and it's motherfucking Dr. 2.0.
How is she everywhere? Like, how?
Okay, so to be fair on this one, Stella is not sure if that was Dr. Porter 2.0 or if she was so paranoid that she just kept seeing Dr. Porter 2.0 everywhere. She was kind of losing her marbles, to be honest, right?
Okay.
So she ran all the way back home, called in sick to work again, and her boss was like, you're going to get fired if you do this one more time. So she's like, oh my God, if I'm fired, I lose this apartment, I lose my safety haven, I have nowhere to go, I'm going to be out on the street, and this woman is going to straight up kill me. Her hair started to fall out from the stress. I mean, Stella was over it. She's like, I feel like I live in a different reality. I feel like I'm being stalked by a crazy person, or am I crazy? I don't even know. So she's like, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. I'm about to lose everything anyway. So she decides to make one last appointment with Dr. Porter 2.0. She shows up to her office, and Stella nervously glanced at the prominently displayed letter opener on her desk. And Dr. Porter 2.0 says, I've been waiting for you. Look, even though I know you're an imposter, I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm not even a real patient. I don't even like the real Dr. Porter. I just wanted to confront her because she took my mom away from me. I know. What? What do you mean you know? I read your file and connected the dots. And then she said something that stopped Stella dead in her tracks. It happened to me too. What? My mom abandoned me when I was a teenager. Dr. Porter told my mom to leave us, and like you, I started seeing Dr. Porter as a patient, hoping she would apologize or at least acknowledge what she did to my family. But she never did. So I thought she's gonna keep doing this and doing this to more and more families, and I needed to get rid of her. Otherwise, she was gonna keep doing it. I already knew that I looked a bit like her. It was shocking, really. So I needed a little bit more work to look like her, and after doing that, I killed her with a letter opener. My friend works at a crematorium, and she helped me with her body. But my Instagram and her files, I used to work at a security firm to test companies before this. I just wanted to scare you from going to the police, but after reading all your files, I realized that you weren't an enemy, so I just wanted to talk, but you were too scared to talk. So I don't get it, or whoever you are. Why are you pretending to be her? Wasn't killing her enough? No, because then who's gonna fix all the patients that she hurt? So I needed to become her to do that. And it ends with Dr. Porter 2.0 being the best therapist that Stella has ever had. Turns out, the shrinks who told her that she would never have a relationship until she made peace with her mom was wrong. Revenge isn't sweet, it's healing. So Dr. Porter 2.0 and Stella have celebrated 7 years of marriage last year, and they gave every single guest a party favor at their wedding, which was a letter opener with their initials inscribed.
Wait, these two got married?
Yeah. I know.
That took a quick turn.
Like, it got really happy at the end. It wasn't just like happy ending, the fucker's dead, but it was like, and it's a love story, and throw in a romance, and throw in some symbolism. Yeah. And Stella said, and as for my mom, I'm still waiting for her to return to LA one day to pay a visit to her old psychologist, Dr. Porter. Kind of hinting at that Dr. Porter's probably going to kill her mom. And that's the end of that story.
But what if
Yeah.
the 2.0 is related to Dr. Porter?
And she abandoned her.
That's why they look so similar.
Yes. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Or like, what if the patient was so obsessed with Dr. Porter and slowly started looking more and more like Dr. Porter? I always wonder if they're like, because therapists must see a lot of interesting people. Myself included. No, I'm kidding. But like, imagine you're a therapist and every day there's this girl and she looks more and more like you every day.
Yeah.
You wear blue, she wears blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're just dead one day. What's that like? I guess you can't tell me. I don't know. What are your thoughts on these stories? These two stories went viral on TikTok recently. So let me know in the comments. Yes.
But on the first story, what's people's like?
They just said it was so creepy.
There's no.
It was like an experience.
But nobody's like, oh, I think it's this.
Some people say, wouldn't it be funny if the doppelgänger wrote this the whole time?
Huh, okay.
What are your thoughts on these stories? And I'm getting a food coma. I'm gonna go lay down on this couch. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's mukbang. Make sure to check out HelloFresh, link in the description. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!